Hey, and welcome to the One Piece Forum YouTube channel. I am Marco Polo, and I'm here, Marco Solo, to bring you the weekly chapter review for One Piece Chapter 852. If you've been following the YouTube channel, you'll have noticed that we haven't had a chapter review out for quite some time. I apologise for that. It was a busy time over the holidays, so our members didn't have time to sit down and talk about One Piece and record it. But lucky for you, it means more of this guy, because I'm going to explain to you guys, or summarize for you guys, because I don't think you need explaining, you probably read it. I'm going to summarize chapters 850 and 851 and the events that are most important in relation to chapter 852. So, Bropper fans, sorry, he's not really that relevant in 852, so next time. Okay, anyway, first up, Pudding. She's gone from cute girl who wants to help out Sanji to crazy three-eyed girl with memory-cutting fruit. I gotta say, the concept of a fruit is pretty cool. Just pulling out a string of memories from someone's head is pretty trippy, and I like it. And then also the Sanji Rose 2016 was quite something, and I'll talk about that now, actually. Sanji, my personal favourite parts of those past two chapters were him in the contrast in emotion that we see from the start of 850, where he's happily cooking away for his one true love and last hope in the entire world, Pudding, to the middle of 851, where he is crying in the rain. The thing that was so powerful about that is pretty much from the moment he looks into the window and sees Pudding laughing about him, he doesn't say a single word. We don't even see his eyes in a lot of the panels because they're blacked out. And I think that's more powerful than him having really over-the-top reactions. That kind of silence says more than him doing NL faces and shouting what the hell could ever do. And Sanji, at the end of 850, learns that Pudding and Big Mom and all of that lot are planning on killing his family, which is shocking for him. May not be the worst news because he doesn't really like most of them, but news nonetheless. Second of all, Brook versus Big Mom. There's an aspect of that I'm going to talk about in the 852 review that perhaps isn't the most obvious thing to talk about, because the most obvious thing is cool fight, Brook talking to Big Mom like she's his daughter, young lady and everything, and the fact that he's going to have to get through her to get the poneglyph, or so it seems. And then last of all, Jinbei is back. Yes! Been waiting for this for a long time. He comes in with the 5,000 tile brick fist. My fanboy pants get wet, and 10 straw hat unless he gets killed, which not off the table, but let's hope it doesn't happen because fanboy pants. Yeah, right. On to 852. The first part I want to talk about is Sanji and Reiju. Reiju wakes up in the infirmary and she's got no idea what's gone on because she's had the memories literally pulled and snipped out of her head by Pudding. But thankfully, Best Boy Sanji was standing outside listening to the whole thing. So he explains to Reiju that the family's in danger, they're all going to get killed. Reiju, somewhat surprisingly, says, "Let's pretend like it didn't happen. It's cool. They deserve to die. We all deserve to die, except you." And Sanji is all, what the hell? Why would you say that? It's a bit dark, isn't it? And then Reiju tells us of Sanji's origins, which I believe is something Oda promised way back in January of 2016 when he made the Year of Sanji announcement, or whenever he made the Year of Sanji announcement. And basically we find out that Judge's crazy gene science does not stop at his own children. In fact, he goes even crazier with it, and he decides to make them all superhuman, something which Mama Vinsmoke is not very happy about. And her resistance against Judge essentially taking all human emotion out of her children causes her to take a drug that eventually weakens her body to the point where she dies. But thankfully, she wasn't completely fruitless with her efforts to have children with emotions, because she has Sanji, and there's a little cute panel with baby Sanji in that I quite like. And what we see in that backstory, as well as Sanji is the dud child that's not really a dud because he's got feelings and everything, is we see the contrast in the way Judge feels about Sanji and how Sanji's mother felt about him, in that she had nothing but pride for him, and she even said, "Oh, he's the best kid ever," and Judge is all, "Oh, you're a failure. Get out my face. Don't call me your father ever again." And I think that's quite interesting. And the other thing I got from that backstory is, should we have the same kind of strong feelings against Ichiji, Niji, and Yonji as we currently have? Because they haven't been given a choice as to their genes. Their dad just went, "I want them to have superpowers, and I don't want them to have feelings." But given the choice, would they have taken those feelings? And is it a case of they're as much accomplices as Reiju is, and it's really just Judge who's the big old bastard? And I think that aspect of Ichiji, Niji, and Yonji in particular may well change by the end of this arc, because the way it's setting up, the Sanji versus his brothers fight that I was super hyped up for since we found out he had brothers, is less likely to happen, and I'm not as salty about that as I perhaps should be, because I feel like this aspect of kindness in Sanji's personality that Reiju mentions in this chapter, that Brook mentions when he's fighting Big Mom, and she says, "You don't want Sanji back," and Brook says, "Well, we knew once he decided to go that he wasn't going to come back, because he doesn't want to put us in danger. That's how kind he is." And I think that like kindness and that just general humanity that Sanji has, if he ends up saving his brothers, could well resonate with them somehow, or at least it could help him not be a complete jackass in the eyes of the men in his family. And then also the Sanji and Reiju plan. Reiju's plan is die and let Sanji go. Sanji doesn't want to let Reiju die because he is massively indebted to her and he knows it. So seeing what he does with regards to that is going to be really interesting, and whether he can get Luffy back on the side and if they can organize something together, or if it's going to be a one-man stealth mission like he did in Little Garden when he found the log pose, like he did in Alabasta, freeing all the Straw Hats, opening the gates in NES Lobby, just all the famous Sanji solo moments. We could have another one, which would be fine with me, because I quite like Sanji. And speaking of Luffy and the Straw Hats, he was with Nami and Jinbei. They've escaped the prison. Jinbei says he's rebelling against Big Mom. The ties should be cut, but I imagine Big Mom's not just going to sit there and be like, "Oh, yo, how's it going?" if Jinbei ever shows up in front of her face again, because he ran away from the roulette. And speaking of running, Luffy went from, "Oh, I can't move, I'm really hungry and tired," to, "Oh, shit, I need to go get Sanji." And then just legs it up the stairs through essentially just like a series of dungeons, as I call them, like video game dungeons full of fodder soldiers, which he has to get through. But the problem is, Charlotte Smoothie, I believe, is on the top floor, which is also where Sanji is. Luffy is not in a state to fight a commander. Jinbei might be, but will he be able to measure up? Because Luffy had a lot of trouble, and I would dare say that Luffy is stronger than Jinbei at this point. So, as for how a smoothie battle goes, we don't know. Maybe that's gonna be the way in which Sanji reunites with the crew, in that either Luffy's in trouble and shit's about to go down, and he comes in and does one of his cool little stealth entries, or he somehow manages to feed Luffy, which should be standard, because Luffy he'd swallow, and then you go from being all giant and fat to his normal size and be like, I'm ready to fight, and you can go around and beat ass, and that'll be great. So, concluding thoughts. I believe the normal thing to do is give it a rating. That's what Frankie and Mapache do, I think. So I'll give it an 8. It's difficult to compare to 850 and 851 because of the plot twist in 850 and the Sanji characterization in 851. But in terms of a setup chapter, this is probably one of the best you're going to get. The Whole Cake arc as a whole, I think, has been pretty good in keeping interest. There hasn't been any slow chapters, which there were a lot of in previous arcs. Not saying any particular ones, but Dressrosa. Yeah, so that's really everything from me. I've been talking for far too long for one guy doing a review. Thanks for listening if you made it this far. Leave a like. Maybe some of my friends will come back and talk about One Piece with me. Leave a comment if you have anything you want to talk about, and we'll try to get back to you. Subscribe to the channel, because once we do get content out, it's going to be dope. And we have some new stuff planned for 2017. New year, new channel.